Margaret Chin stood in her corner office on the 42nd floor, watching her twin daughters through the glass wall. Again, Sophia and Emma, barely 4 years old, had reduced another nanny to tears. That made 11 in 6 months. The woman rushed past Margaret's door, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Designer purse clutched to her chest like a shield. She didn't even stop to collect her final paycheck. Margaret pressed her fingers to her temples. Building a tech empire from nothing had been easier than this. She could negotiate with investors, outmaneuver competitors, manage 2,000 employees. But her own daughters? They were winning. The twins sat in the playroom now, surrounded by expensive toys they ignored, drawing on the walls with markers they'd somehow found despite every precaution. Their blonde curls bounced as they giggled, partners in beautiful chaos. Her assistant knocked softly. "Mrs. Chun, the agency says they have no one else to send. We've gone through everyone in the city willing to work with difficult children." Difficult, such a polite word for what her daughters had become since the divorce. Since Richard left them for his 25-year-old secretary. Since the girls stopped sleeping through the night, stopped listening, stopped being the sweet baby she remembered. Margaret had tried everything. Child psychologists, behavior specialists. She'd read every parenting book published in the last decade. Nothing worked. The twins had built walls around their little hearts, and no expert could find the door. That evening, she stayed late at the office. Again, not because she wanted to, but because going home meant facing 2 pairs of accusing eyes that seemed to ask why Daddy left, why Mommy was always working, why nothing felt safe anymore. She was reviewing quarterly reports when she heard humming. A simple tune, something old and familiar. She looked up to see the night janitor, Daniel, pushing his cart down the hallway. He was maybe 35, with kind eyes and the sort of calm presence that made people feel immediately comfortable. "Working late, Mrs. Chun?" he asked, pausing by her door. "Always," she said, managing a tired smile. He nodded toward the playroom, where the twins had finally fallen asleep on the floor, clutching each other. Beautiful girls. They look like they've had a long day, too. "You have no idea," Margaret sighed. Then, surprised in herself, she told him everything. The nannies, the tantrums, the desperate loneliness of being a single parent with unlimited money, but zero solutions. Daniel listened without judgment, leaning on his mop handle. When she finished, he said something unexpected. "May I try?" "Try what?" "Spending time with them. Just an hour. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to cleaning floors, and we'll never speak of it again." Margaret should have said no. Liability issues. Background checks. What would the board think? But she was drowning, and this man was offering a lifeline. "Tomorrow," she heard herself say. 5 o'clock. The next day crawled by. Margaret couldn't focus on meetings, kept glancing at the clock. At 4:30, she called the twins into her office. They came reluctantly, prepared for another lecture or another stranger trying too hard to make them smile. Daniel arrived exactly at 5, still in his janitor's uniform. He didn't crouch down to their level or use that fake, cheerful voice adults always used. He simply sat on the floor and took out a small wooden box from his cart. "Hi, Sophia." "Hi, Emma," he said. "My daughter's had a box like this once." The twins froze. Margaret held her breath. "You have daughters?" Emma asked, the first word she'd spoken to an adult other than Margaret in weeks. "I did," Daniel said softly. "There were the angels now. They'd be about your age." He opened the box. Inside were simple things. Smooth stones, colorful buttons, old keys, a small kaleidoscope. Not toys exactly, but treasures, the kind of objects that held stories. "This blue stone," he said, holding up to the light, "my daughter Lucy found at the beach. She said it looked like the sky was trapped inside." He handed it to Sophia, who took it carefully, reverently. For the next hour, Daniel told stories. Not made-up fairy tales, but real memories of his daughters, of teaching them to find wonder in ordinary things. He spoke about loss without bitterness, about love without demanding it in return. He listened when the twins talked, really listened, giving their words weight. Margaret watched from her desk, pretending to work, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. When the hour ended, Emma climbed into Daniel's lap. Sophia held his hand. They asked if he would come back tomorrow. "If your mama says it's okay," he answered, looking at Margaret. She nodded, unable to speak. The arrangement became routine. Every evening at 5, Daniel would finish his cleaning early and spend an hour with the twins. He taught them to see beauty in small things. How dust motes dancing in sunlight were like tiny dancers. How the building's old pipes sang different songs depending on the weather. How being gentle took more strength than being loud. Slowly, the walls came down. The twins started sleeping again. They stopped testing every boundary, stopped pushing away everyone who tried to help. They learned that not everyone would leave, that some people stayed even when it was hard. Margaret learned too. She started leaving work at 6 instead of 9, started reading bedtime stories instead of emails, started understanding that her daughters didn't need another employee in their lives. They needed her. 3 months later, Margaret called Daniel into her office. He came nervously, probably expecting to be fired for overstepping. "I want to offer you a job," she said. "Proper salary, benefits, working directly with the girls. You've done what no one else could." Daniel smiled sadly. "Mrs. Chun, I appreciate that more than you know. But I'm a janitor. That's honest work, and it's enough for me. Your daughters don't need another person on your payroll. They just needed someone to see them as people, not problems to solve." He was right, and she knew it. "Then at least let me thank you," she said. "Dinner? The 4 of us." That dinner became weekly, then twice weekly. Margaret found herself looking forward to Daniel's gentle wisdom, his easy laugh, the way he treated her daughters like the precious souls they were. And maybe, though she barely admitted it to herself, she looked forward to seeing him too. One evening, as they left the restaurant, Sophia and Emma holding Daniel's hands, swinging between them like he was their personal playground. Sophia looked up and asked, "Can Daniel be our daddy?" The adults froze. Margaret's face burned. But Daniel knelt down, eye level with both girls, and said something remarkable. "Your daddy is your daddy, and that won't change. But I can be your friend, Daniel. The one who's here for stories and smooth stones and finding magic in ordinary days. Would that be okay?" Both girls hugged him. Emma whispered, "That's even better." Walking back to the car, Margaret touched Daniel's arm. "Thank you for everything. For showing me that what my daughters needed wasn't something money could buy. They just needed time," Daniel said, "and someone who understood that healing doesn't follow a schedule. I learned that the hard way." As they drove home, the twins chattering happily in the back seat, Margaret realized something profound. She'd spent months trying to fix her daughters, when what they really needed was for someone to meet them in their pain, to sit with them in the mess, to show them that broken things could still be beautiful. Daniel had given her daughters something priceless. Not solutions, but presence. Not corrections, but connection. And in doing so, he'd given Margaret something too. Hope that they would all be okay. That love, the real kind, didn't come with a price tag or a resume. It came quietly, gently, in the form of a humble man with kind eyes and an understanding heart. The janitor had done the impossible. He'd shown them all how to heal. If this story touched your heart, please share and subscribe for more tales of kindness and connection. Leave a comment below telling us about someone who showed up for you when you needed it most. Your story matters.